I'm booked on a pretty costly Princess cruise next year, but have a real dilemma after coming off 2 short trips, a 4-night Regal Princess and a 5-night Sky Princess cruise. I came off those with a couple of pretty big concerns based on those trips, so I decided to take time to pause and reflect on those issues before making a final decision if I should keep going with that booking. I decided to share this with you because I think it could help you, particularly if you're considering or thinking about Princess cruises. If you're new here, welcome aboard. I'm Gary Bembridge, and it's my goal to make it fun and easy to discover, plan, and enjoy unforgettable cruise vacations. The first thing that struck me stepping on board those ships is how incredibly samey they are. Take a look at these lobbies. These are from 4 different Princess cruise ships that I've been on: Caribbean Princess, Royal Princess, Regal Princess, and Sky Princess. It's impossible, I think, to tell which ship I was on because they all basically look the same. Princess ships have the same decor, largely the same layout, the same facilities, so that sense of excitement and the thrill of exploring the differences when you step on a new Princess ship just simply isn't there. On reflection though, I wondered, could this familiarity and sameness actually be a plus? So the big Alaska trip that I've got booked next year means that I can focus right away on the destination, because as I step on that ship, which will be the Majestic Princess, everything is going to be familiar. The look, the feel, the layout, and I'll know where everything is. So I will only have to take limited time getting to know the ship. Also, thinking about it, that multi-deck atrium is the hub for everything. There's a 24-hour international cafe, Vines and other bars, Alfredo's, the pizza, Ocean Terrace sushi bar, shops, photo center, future cruise sales, and just off that, the casino, guest services, excursion desk, the Crown Grill, Sabatini's, and so on. I can drink, I can eat, I can dine, I can be entertained there. So although it's very familiar, that hub is something that works, and I was thinking possibly trumps my concern about the lack of excitement of having something new, a new ship to explore and experience when I get on a Princess ship. However, there is an issue or a gripe based on these recent trips that seems much less easy to reconcile than this particular one, and I think I should have considered much more carefully before I booked next year's trip. This issue is the fact that the ships are getting so big. Regal Princess carries 3,560 passengers. Sky Princess and all the newer ships are even bigger, with 3,660 passengers. When these ships are full, they do feel busy and crowded. Now, I'm a fan overall of smaller ships. So one of the big concerns I've got now is the push by Princess into only bigger and bigger ships. Princess got rid of many of their smaller ships during the pandemic. There are still some smaller ship options, like they've got Island Princess, 2,200 passengers, Coral Princess with 2,000, and Sapphire Princess with 2,600. However, those last two, the Coral and the Sapphire, are based in Australia, and Island Princess sails kind of offbeat routes like Iceland, Panama. They do much longer voyages, 30-night voyages to full world cruises. So that doesn't really help me when I'm looking to plan more kind of normal, regular trips. So if I want to go on a Princess cruise, particularly this next one and in the future, I'm going to have to get over my concern about big ships. Now, I booked Princess because they're the experts in Alaska. They've been there over 50 years. They're calling to all the places on that itinerary that I really want to see. They're passing glaciers that I've not seen before. And so I think I need to get over the size for that particular trip. Maybe for other itineraries in the future, that size may factor in much more. So certainly, I would say if ship size is an issue for you, particularly big ship size, then think about Princess suitability and think about it based on where you are going, like I'm going to be doing. Stick with me on this next concern, as frivolous as it sounds at first, because it will make sense in a moment. I'm a massive fan of afternoon tea, both on land and on cruise ships. But one of the things the Princess doesn't do well at all is afternoon tea. The included afternoon tea, it's served in one of the main dining rooms. You know, waiters come around with trays of sandwiches, cakes, and scones. But to be honest, they're not that exciting, and I didn't think they were particularly great quality cakes and sandwiches. Now you don't get, for example, as you would on Viking, a beautiful tiered tray with very high quality, fancy cakes, very fine cakes, beautiful sandwiches. Princess afternoon tea is basically just fine. Now, of course, I'm not going to choose a cruise line and a cruise based on afternoon tea. So why am I talking about it? Well, for me, getting something like afternoon tea right is indicative, I think, of a line's approach to cuisine and overall kind of culinary expertise. So just how good is Princess food? Now, I was very sensitive to this because before these trips, I was repeatedly asked by a surprisingly large number of people, what's happening with Princess food? Is it better? Is it worse? Especially because the ships are getting bigger. One test I have when I go on a cruise ship to see the attention and quality that goes into our cuisine other than my afternoon tea is the poached egg test. Now, I discovered this on a show called Hotel Inspector, where the presenter would go to different hotels, and one of the tests that she used was how well they manage a basic skill like poached eggs. The reason being, it's a relatively tricky thing to do, but it's also a really fundamental cooking thing. The test, she said, was usually a good indication of overall culinary skill. Now on Princess, in every single restaurant, and I went to quite a few, that I ordered a poached egg, they absolutely passed this test amazingly, unlike two of the lines that I had also been on recently who didn't get it right. So I found the quality of food on Princess good. Is it phenomenal? Probably not, but it's among the best or better in the category. These are, as I mentioned earlier, big ships catering for a lot of people. And I think they probably do the food better than a similar line like P&O Cruises, for example, that I was actually on just before these trips. Princess food doesn't look, it doesn't taste like kind of mass-produced canteen food, which I think some of the cruise lines suffer with. The range of food is good, the included options, and especially dining in places like Crown Grill or Sabatini's. The food on Princess is good. It's at a level, I think, that's going to get me over my afternoon tea disappointment. Set that concern aside and basically enjoy the food and just accept that I'm not going to have incredible afternoon tea on my Alaska trip. However, another issue that I have with Princess Cruises is a bigger one, and this is around smoking. They still allow smoking in the casino, even though they have, which is a real plus for smokers, Churchill's on many of their ships. This is a smoking room inside the ships. However, on my trips, so many people pop into the casino, sit around in a group near some machines and smoke. Smoking in the casino is, to me, unnecessary. It does drive me, to be honest, kind of crazy. I keep wondering, do smokers spend more on gambling? Certainly the ones that I saw sitting around smoking on my recent cruises weren't even gambling at all. Now, on the plus side, it does mean, of course, that I'm going to spend less when there are many smokers in the casino. Princess Cruises also introduced the ability to gamble on an app. So they've launched an app which is called Ocean Play, and you can sit by the pool or in your cabin or wherever you want to do and gamble. So I guess there is kind of an answer to that. However, it's not the same as being in a casino, and that is definitely not for me. I don't want to go and gamble on an app. I do enjoy gambling on a cruise. I do love playing the machines, and the smoking is really off-putting. Is it enough to make me change cruise lines? It's not a big enough issue to make me change cruise lines, but it's an issue I'm sure shared by many and something to really bear in mind if you are really into gambling and smoking is a big issue. One of the other issues I have is one of the great signature features on Princess that I really like has been turned into something totally underwhelming on their new ships, even though it comes with a massive upside to many cruise passengers. On Regal Princess, the skywalk is magnificent. It's up on the pool deck. It's a feature with a curved walkway. There's a gap one side. You can look down past all the cabins to the promenade deck, to the ocean below. Those without fear can walk on the actual glass walkway. However, on Sky Princess, it's so much less impressive. They've actually covered over that open area down the side of the walk, and there's just a strip of glass basically to walk on. It loses the spectacle, it loses the drama of it all, and it's actually not very visible at all. So much so that I didn't even realize they still had it on Sky Princess until I stumbled across it by chance on the last day when I was walking across the pool deck. Now, on the plus side, If you didn't do your research or perhaps booked a guaranteed cabin, you might find yourself under the skywalk on ships like Regal Princess. And everybody visiting the skywalk, even those not walking on it, actually directly look onto your balcony and even potentially into part of your cabin. It's pretty intrusive, people just staring down on you. So on the new ships like Sky, they've actually covered over that open area so people can't look down on you as much, because when people actually walk on the glass strip, they're actually then looking straight down to the promenade deck and the ocean. They're not overlooking your balcony and into your cabin to anything like the same degree. So it shows, I guess, that Princess have listened to their customers, chosen to cover up and reduce the amount of people looking down onto those balconies and cabins. It does mean, though, that the whole spectacle and drama of the skywalk, which is really fantastic, has gone. It's become, in my view, pretty underwhelming, which is a pity. It's not a big deal breaker, but it's such a pity that a great feature like that just doesn't work anymore. Another issue I had, which is perhaps more important than the skywalk, is the shows. Though to what degree it should affect my choice, it's difficult to decide, because as you're going to hear, I have this issue with pretty much all the premium cruise lines that they compete with. The shows in the theatre are still those song and dance review shows around a particular theme, and they do, to me, end up feeling very repetitive across all the cruise lines. They all have what feels like a pretty random playlist that someone's created based around a theme. They're very interchangeable between every single premium cruise line, and they're, in my view, pretty dated, and they haven't really been elevated or moved forwards. They have, though, tried, I guess, on Princess to do something a little bit different with one of the shows, which is called Rock Opera. However, while they've definitely improved the set, they've improved the costuming, they've definitely cast singers that can sing those kinds of songs consistently well, it's really not much of a change. It just looks and sounds better. But the song choice is a bit random, there's no story, it's still basically a pimped up review song and dance show. Now, I may be in the minority having this as an issue, because other passengers do seem to enjoy the shows on both Princess and other cruise lines that have them. Now, the entertainment is probably not a massively big factor in choosing a Princess cruise, because if entertainment was really important, in the premium category, the only one really doing something different, in my view anyway, is Virgin Voyages. They're trying different things, not the review format, but they actually aren't even going to Alaska, so I can't even consider them. But for something even more gripping, if I did want to make entertainment really important, I'd have to go more in a mass market line, say like Norwegian Cruise Line, which stage full-on Broadway Western shows. You know, they've got Six, Hairspray, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Rock of Ages, and so on. But again, that cruise line isn't really for me. They're not experts in Alaska. So basically, I guess I need to live with that kind of review show. Now, as I worked through all these various concerns, I was still left with a dilemma, because there seems to be a lot of compromise needed. But the revelation that I had talking and working through these issues is the danger, of course, is looking at everything from a glass half empty perspective, focusing on the things that are perhaps not working, but enough of the things that are working. You know, nothing is perfect. No cruise line is perfect. The atrium, although being the same, is probably like that because it's a great area that works. Although they may not do afternoon tea well, it's just not their focus or thing. They have the fundamentals of right. The food is as good as other premium cruise lines. I'm not really going to choose a cruise line based on the Skywalk alone, or exclude one just because they have smoking in the casino. The shows are good enough to keep me entertained. On the glass half full side, Princess cruises have incredibly consistent service. When I go on a Princess cruise, it runs well, the service is good, it's familiar, and they know what they're doing, and I know what I'm going to get from them. The sameness for them is about doing the things they do really well and consistently that I know I can rely on. So I decided I should stick with them for that big cruise that I'm doing to Alaska. It's an important cruise for me and a route that I really want to do. They're the experts there, and I can go knowing I can rely on them and knowing exactly what I'm going to get. Now, one of the things I didn't mention as a gripe or as an issue is the medallion, because the medallion is something they've introduced, and for me, it just helps things work smoothly. It's actually, for me, a plus. It's actually not even an issue, it's a real plus. But if you're not sure though, if things like the medallion and other changes that Princess Cruises have made are for you, watch this video where I talk about a number of changes they have made recently, starting with exactly how technology has totally shaken things up. See you over there.